Why is it so hot up here? I've gone as high up as I can go. There's nowhere else for me to go.
You're never gonna believe what I found. It's like a rooftop meadow, like grass. It's grass.
There's grass.
Yeah, there's grass.
On top of what?
On top of the right there, on top of the building.
Nah, I don't see nothing.
The grass and plants, it's right there, Vinny.
There's no such thing as a rooftop meadow, whatever.
All right, you suit yourself, Vinny. I'm going down there. Hey guys, what's going on?
This episode of Sky Gardens is brought to you by Green Roofs TV and sponsored by Green Roof Blocks, simple solutions to building green.
Welcome to Sky Gardens. I'm Linda Velasquez, and we're here in Manhattan on top of the corporate offices of Cook+Fox Architects, one of New York's leading sustainable architectural firms. They're responsible for many environmentally friendly projects, including the new $1 billion Bank of America at 1 Bryant Park. In 2006, they decided to green their own fifth facade on top of their new 8th-story penthouse to show leadership and to provide a refreshing respite for people, flora, and fauna alike. Of course, one of Green Roof's many benefits is to do just that, to provide cooling relief from the urban heat island effect found in our dense urban centers. Approximately 3.2 billion people live in urban areas today, and a United Nations report estimates that this number will approach 5 billion by the year 2030. For many economic and ecological reasons, planners and designers are clustering people in city centers in an effort to create smart growth. One of the world's leading metropolises, New York City is also the most densely populated city in the U.S., with almost 9 million people occupying just under 305 square miles. The city's 5 distinct boroughs, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and Manhattan, combine to make New York City a global mecca for culture, finance, and international affairs. Not amazingly, rooftops account for 19% of New York City's surface area, of which 11% are flat roofs, a substantial portion of available open space. And more often than not, they're neglected, unused, and just plain ugly impermeable rooftops covered in asphalt, tar, or concrete. These impervious surfaces absorb the heat all day and then re-radiate it back at night into the Earth's atmosphere, creating these higher domes of temperature in our urban areas, resulting in urban heat islands. For example, studies show that surface temperatures at the roof membrane on standard roofs can be more than 72 degrees Fahrenheit higher than on green roofs at midday in the summer. Notice how these thermal photos of Central Park from Columbia University Center for Climate Systems Research and NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies portray a clear Central Park cool island effect at night due to the huge amount of greenery. By the mid-1800s, more than 500,000 people were crowded into New York City. Desperate to escape these cramped quarters, city dwellers flocked to any open green space they could find, even cemeteries. In 1857, New York City sponsored an open competition for the design of Central Park. Its mission was for the citizens to enjoy greenery, lots of open space for recreation, relaxation, and respite from city life. American Frederick Law Olmsted and British Calvert Vaux won this opportunity. Built over the course of 20 years, Central Park is as iconic to New York City as the Empire State Building. And in fact, Frederick Law Olmsted is considered the father of landscape architecture, spawning a profession of ecology, design, and love of the natural environment. Over 25 million people visit the park every year, and as one of the true urban wonders of the world, Central Park is a model for city parks worldwide. At 843 acres, it's certainly a massive green oasis in the midst of New York. And of course, New Yorkers have been recreating a bit of nature on their rooftops with roof gardens for quite a long time, since the turn of the 20th century. As you can see by these vintage postcards of the day, a wide variety of rooftop spaces became popular venues for escaping the heat for both rich and poor alike, from tenement houses to the most exclusive hotels. Of course, one of the most famous roof gardens in the world to this day is Rockefeller Center, located in the center of Midtown Manhattan and designed in the mid-1930s by horticulturalists Ralph Hancock and A.M. Vanden Hoek. A series of 5 garden roofs, they were lavish, intricate neo-Renaissance designs from various periods.
The long-neglected roof space of a variety of buildings, both private and institutional, is being turned to good account. For all the congestion of the city is the most attractive floor, for more than half the year, is the least used. By climbing a few additional feet, a change of air and outlook may be gained equal to several degrees of latitude. The roof garden is a welcome oasis to the desert of city roofs.
Getting back to Cook+Fox, they were also interested in a respite from the city heat, just a tad more simple. And while the building owners were open to the idea of a green roof, they were worried about the integrity of the old existing roofing membrane and the building's drainage system. So for these reasons, the firm decided on a flexible system which could be moved later if necessary. So who is this flexible client? In this case, the client and the designer are the same. I interviewed architect Mark Rosidsky, senior associate, about a month after the complete removal and reinstallation of the Cook+Fox living roof on their beautiful historic building.
This building itself was built right around the turn of the century, right around 1900, and it was originally used for a retail shopping center or shopping building. This entire street, all of 6th Avenue, where there was an elevated train line, is known as the Ladies Mile Historic District. And it was what we read and researched, the term, if you have to ask how much it is, then you can't afford it, because they didn't actually have price tags on anything. And so this space that we eventually moved into is the top floor of that building. It was the Crawford and Simpson department store. And it was used for the dining room. It was a high-end formal dining space called the Palm Room. We actually found a postcard on eBay of the space, and some of the design decisions that we made were inspired by what we saw in the postcards. When we were designing out the space, we were looking to see if we could use a lot of the same technologies that we use in our projects, green materials, and so forth, and some of the mechanical systems. And the thing about this particular space is it allowed us to build a green roof. And the green roofs are important for a variety of reasons. It is connected to the interior in some way. The tenant that was here before us had perimeter offices all around that curve, and they also had some downlighting. So we knew immediately that if we did 2 things, clear out all of those perimeter offices and open as much daylight and views to the green roof to as many people in the open studios as we could, and to get rid of all those lights and to highlight these tall ceilings with all of this beautiful detail, that would really go a long way in making this a beautiful space and a nice place to work.
What kind of funding was available?
New York State has a really great program to help fund different energy saving technologies, and it's something that we get involved with a lot of the projects that we work on. There were 2 programs. One is actually subsidizing some of the green technologies and the lighting systems, some of the mechanical systems, and the other is giving us a low interest loan on the build out of the space. So we actually went through the process of applying through both of these programs, and it was very helpful to us, and I think very useful because we're not only the designer in this case, but we're also the client. So experiencing things on both ends was a useful exercise.
New York City has been one of the early leaders of sustainability with green roofs, even offering incentives. We're here at New York City Hall, where we'll find out what NYC is doing on a large scale to become a greener city and how green roofs fit into that vision.
Plan YC is the mayor's overall sustainability plan for New York City, looking to the year 2030 as our target. And it seeks to lay out a strategy for New York to meet several challenges that go well beyond environmental challenges alone, but everything really does come back to the same several things. So one is that the city is growing. We expect to have 1 million additional residents in 2030 in an already crowded city. Two, we want to make sure that we are contributing to the global effort against climate change by reducing New York City's carbon footprint by 30%. And three, at the same time, we also want to make sure that we have an even better quality of life than for 9 million people than we do today for 8 million people. So we want to make our neighborhoods better, our transit better, clean our air, all of that. And what's important about it is that all of those things really work well together, because New York City is so environmentally efficient already. The average New Yorker is responsible for only 29% of the carbon emissions of the average American. And so what that means is that anything we can do to expand the city, to make the city more economically vibrant, means a better carbon footprint for the United States.
How do you see green roofs fitting into New York's overall sustainability plan?
Well, you know, green roofs are a great example of how we think about sustainability, which really is to say that all of the initiatives, there are 127 initiatives in Plan YC, and virtually all of them actually tackle multiple problems at once. Right? And a green roof, as you well know, does that. It addresses stormwater runoff, and therefore improves water quality. It addresses urban heat island. It improves energy efficiency in a building. So we think green roofs are a wonderful thing for the future of New York City. And even more broadly, we see a lot of opportunity for greening, whether it's on rooftops or elsewhere. And that's why we're planting 1 million trees around New York City as part of our strategy. We are expanding regional parks. We are expanding our Green Streets program, where we take unnecessary asphalt in the road and turn them into small green areas that enhance the neighborhood and things like that. Well, green roofs and other kinds of rooftop detention and retention strategies are really important to improve the water quality around New York. We are, of course, an island city, so we live among our waterways, so that's really important to us. And I think it's 19% of the surface area of the city is rooftop. And so we could, in theory, capture nearly 20% of our water runoff if we had retention systems on all our roofs. So we see green roofs, but also blue roofs and other approaches to that kind of thing as being a really important component of that. And in fact, all of those innovative designs are critical, because we really can't afford to continue the way we're going. New York City's energy consumption has been consistently growing. Our demand is up 20% in the last decade. That's unsustainable, because we can't provide the kind of power plants that we need, even if carbon dioxide weren't an issue for our atmosphere, and we know it is. So, among other things, the better insulation that a green roof or a reflective roof provides to our buildings will help lower our peak load demand for electricity on a hot summer day. Similarly, we know that we have to do a lot of work on stormwater, and we are in fact in the process of spending $2 billion for concrete end-of-pipe solutions, which we think are equally necessary, but they aren't going to get us as far as we would like to go, and it's one of the reasons that rooftop retention is one of the key strategies the city has already identified as an early target to move on.
Can you tell us about the city's philosophy on tax credits for green roofs?
Well, in fact, Plan YC envisioned a tax credit for green roof installation, in part because we want to accelerate the number of green roofs in the city, but we also know that green roofs are a fairly expensive technology still. They're a very desirable technology, and a lot of people will choose to have them. But what we thought was that the property tax credit approach would enhance their attractiveness and basically make it easier for those building owners who would like to do it anyway, just make it easier for them to do it, and hopefully therefore decrease the costs and increase the experience that New York landlords and contractors and others have with it. And it provides up to a $4.50 a year tax credit for a building that has at least 50% of its roof turned into a green roof, up to a total of $100,000. And the goal here is that we believe that that should cover roughly over the lifetime of the tax credit between a third and a half of the total incremental cost of installing a green roof. The key hurdle is around financial challenges. And in terms of that, the biggest single thing we could do is actually lower the cost of actually installing a green roof. One of the problems is, for example, with something like the green roof tax credit that we did, at the end of the day, tax revenues are a zero-sum game, right? So you can say, oh, the government should give more subsidies for X, but that either means higher taxes or lower government spending on something else. And the best way to really make these things widespread, and it's true for green roofs as it is for any other technology, is for us all to find ways to get the costs down. Because if we can do that, if we can get the costs down significantly, then people will do them just because they look good and they're fun to talk about, let alone the real environmental benefits of them.
Although the opportunity for incentives opened the door for Cook+Fox's green roof, affordability was still an issue.
Because we had this opportunity, we looked for different systems that we could find that would be affordable, and after doing a great deal of research, we discovered the green roof pack system and made an introduction with Kelly Luckett.
We were contacted by Cook+Fox early summer 2006, prior to their moving into this new space in Manhattan. And their goal was to have a green roof that was fully vegetated, completely green, the day they moved in. The problem was they didn't contact me until 6 weeks before they wanted to move in. Now, we don't typically inventory that many pre-grown modules, so we didn't have the pre-vegetated modules available for them. And when we got to speaking with them, it wasn't in their budget anyway. So we started talking about the green pack system. Green roof blocks is an aluminum containerized green roof system. That's to say each unit, each module is self-contained. I have the engineered soil and plant strategy of basic sedums, low-lying ground cover. Green packs we developed several years later in effort to have a lower cost option. The green packs use the same engineered soil as the green roof blocks, same plant strategy, but we replaced the aluminum with a high-density polyethylene knit fabric. Now, the green packs have some material advantages over the green roof blocks, particularly if you have a radius area or an odd-shaped area. Cook+Fox has a big radius wall window, so the green packs lend themselves very well to wrap right around that radius. And then all the straight runs running into that formed irregular shapes, where you just make the pack conform to any shape that you need. Were we to try to accomplish that with a rigid modular concept, it would be very difficult. We would have to segment it, or we would have to modify the module itself. So the green packs offer somewhat of a material handling advantage in terms, infinite shelf life. We can hand them through the window without opening the fabric, so the soil doesn't necessarily become exposed until we're ready to put the plants in. So if we have a project that is scheduled and it's getting too close to winter to put the plants in, we can go ahead and lay the green roof packs in place and then wait until spring to actually open the packs and put the plants in. Now that allows the construction project to stay on schedule, and then rather than hold the entire green roof up, which holds the construction financing up, we can go ahead and proceed with the green roof and then simply come back and add the plants later.
One of the things that happens to green roofs on a lot of projects is that it gets value engineered out. So this system that we used was almost half the price of some of the other systems that we had looked at. And as it gets more and more mainstream, the price obviously comes down. But looking at systems like these nylon bags that help bring the cost of it down, hopefully we'll be able to use more and more of it on some of our projects.
As we started to discuss the possibility of us installing or them installing, then it came out that to have someone else come in and install wasn't in the budget either.
One of the ways that we could make it affordable is that we actually had about 20 people from our own staff volunteer.
And then for us to just send a couple key people up to coordinate and basically to show them what to do, and then they would have volunteer architects come out. So we scheduled the whole project for a Saturday. Now, this project was pretty difficult because it's in downtown Manhattan. So scheduling material to come in, we had to have a tractor trailer there very, very early in the morning, and then all 880 green packs had to be broken down off of pallets, shuttled half a pallet at a time up through the freight elevator, wheeled down the hallway, and handed through the window individually. So the 20 volunteer architects got 880 green packs from the ground to the 8th floor, handed them out the window, and created a 4,000 square foot green roof in a single day.
We visited the Green Roof Blocks and Green Packs plant supplier, Yost Greenhouses, located outside of downtown St. Louis, Missouri, to address what types of plants would do well in the harsh New York weather and which ones were used on the Cook+Fox green roof.
They did want plant material, some of it to be indigenous to the state, so we had to look at that. We first looked at the exposures of the roof itself. That's one thing we always look at. In the city itself, because it is a microclimate in itself, because of so much concrete and asphalt, it's probably, I think New York is probably a zone 5, zone 6, but downtown like that, you're probably going to be in a zone 7. So, and then with the bottom heating from the roofs themselves, it's even better. So yeah, I mean, it truly is a microclimate, as will be any metropolitan area. Then we did a multi-species approach like we have been doing, so that if we have a failure, something else takes its place. The indigenous plant that we did use up there, after 3 years, I think it's been up there now, we do not see it. So it's actually not in place now, whereas the other species have taken over.
When we first moved into the space, the green roof was not installed at that time. So we moved in and there was still the asphalt roof that was out there. And we moved it in when we first started planting that, it was about August, and we were taking temperatures off of that roof, and we were getting temperatures probably about 170 degrees. It was incredibly hot in New York, August days. And we installed the bags and did the planting afterwards, and it was really almost immediately a day, 2 days later, that we started to see insects, and not too much after that, started to see butterflies and then birds within days or weeks after that. So the change was really remarkable, and it was almost immediate.
So we know plant selection was dictated by the site, but can you talk a little bit about some of the plants and the color palette?
We chose sedum albums for the red fall color. We have some Angelina up there, or Seagold actually is what we have up there for that orange fiery look. We have some Talinums up there, which are annual, but they freely self-sow. So I know the architects were really crazy over those because they had flowers, throughout the spring and summer. The spuriums, we've got green forms up there, we've got red forms up there. The architects seem to really like lots of color, and Cook+Fox has it. I mean, they got lots of color throughout the whole year. We have sedum album up there, sedum sexangulaire, sedum spurium silver cultivars, some Kamchaticum, some Weinstoffner gold, some Immergrausch, some Seagold, and then we have some spectabilis cultivars along the edge where we came back last year. They wanted some higher growing sedums. There's actually a few grasses up there too that they were playing with to see what kind of hardiness they're going to have up there, but they're going to require a whole lot more inputs than do the sedums or other succulents that we've used.
For over 2 years, they enjoyed a cool, flowering green space until their previous fears were confirmed, and in mid-2008, that old roof finally did start to leak.
They had a pretty aggressive construction schedule. They were trying to get this done prior to moving in. And I couldn't make a trip up there to look at the roof. They sent me photos. They're architects. They basically made the decision to install a green roof on an aging roof. When we got there, the trained eye realized this is kind of an older roof. It's not ideal situation to put a green roof on. It wasn't leaking at the time, so we went ahead and went with it. But the first day I laid eyes on the project was when we got there to install it. And it was fine for the first couple of years, but then with the huge rains that came in spring and early summer of 2008, they developed roof leaks.
The building experienced some leaking in the roof and discovered that they really needed to replace the entire roof below it.
The new ownership decided that concerns about mold, they didn't want to mess around with patching the roof or trying to repair the roof. What they wanted to do instead was completely remove the old roof down to the concrete deck and install a new roof with a 20-year warranty. That meant that all the green packs had to be removed. There was some discussion about just throwing them away. As you can imagine, Cook+Fox wasn't very excited about that option. And then they contacted us to figure out, well, how can we salvage the green roof? So fortunately, there was an adjacent building section just about equal to the size of the building section where the green roof was. So we were hired to come in July and relocate all of the vegetated green packs with mature vegetation. Now this is 2 years into the green roof. So all these green packs were completely vegetated, between 95 and 100% vegetative cover. So we moved them one at a time to the higher level.
And they used some type of ladder conveyor system so that they put individual bags. I think they may have stacked them. The sedums could handle being stacked on top of each other for short periods of time, and then relocated them to the upper roof. And then the roofers went about their business as if it were any other roof.
They came in, completely re-roofed the project, put the new membrane down. It took them about 3 months, and then they let us know when the flood testing was complete that we could go ahead and reinstall the green roof. So we went back in mid-October 2008, and we lowered all the green packs back down to the lower level. We installed the new drain core, and then positioned all the green roof green packs back where we got them. It took 4 days to move them all up to the upper roof. It took 5 days to move them all back down and get them repositioned.
It was a little bit longer than our initial install because all the bags had about 2 years worth of growth in them. When we originally installed them, nothing had been planted. They were sealed bags, so we could throw them around a little bit more easily.
As far as I know, the Cook+Fox project is the first time ever that a fully mature green roof had to be removed and was repositioned back intact.
Kelly brought me up there after the plants had been moved up and they're being brought back down.
We were really concerned about a certain area, involved about 45 green packs. It appeared that there had been trash piled on top of these green packs, and the vegetation on top appeared to be really damaged.
But overall, the failure was minimal, if not zero, because after the second day, even the plants were actually perking up with water.
Well, we tout the attributes of the modular concept that you can move it easily, but I don't know of any project that they actually had to. And when you look at green roof blocks, each one has a handle and that's very defined individual units, and you can see that yes, this can be moved around easily. But when you look at green packs, it more closely resembles a built-in place or a traditional green roof. So there was some question whether or not it had the mobility of a true modular concept, and Cook+Fox bore that out. Well, I think the Cook+Fox will tell you that they should have hired a roof consultant and had them evaluate the roofing surface first. Because when you put a green roof over the top of a roof that has problems, you've compounded those problems. So first and foremost is the roof has to be in good shape. And I think that was the lesson learned here was, you know, perhaps they rushed in a little bit to get their green roof in place.
My biggest thing I'd like to share with people about is I was so impressed with the roof being moved and being brought back down and minimal injury on the plants. I mean, that's my portion of it, because I've seen them from either seedlings, cuttings, or whatever, all the way to maturity. And I typically see just juvenile plants, and I don't ever get to see an end product like we saw here. The biggest thing I can say is it worked, and that was pleasure for me.
Now, you know, when we first started talking to Cook+Fox, they had two mandates. They wanted the green roof fully vegetated, and they wanted it before they moved in. We didn't meet either mandate. They moved in about 6 weeks before we actually put the initial green roof in place, and it was a green roof that took a growing season or two to completely vegetate. However, what Cook+Fox will tell you is that this was far more rewarding than they could have imagined had we met the mandates, because their employees had to look at the ugly black roof for 6 weeks before we got there. Then we enlisted their help. They created this green roof themselves, which gave them a sense of ownership. They really took stock in how the plants were doing, and they watched every day out their window as this thing emerged into this incredible green space. It proved to be a far more rewarding project than if they just walked in the first day and, oh, there's this great green roof.
The green roof is actually probably the single most expensive thing that we did, and we're not getting tremendous amount of economic benefit. Actually, the tenant below us is getting more benefit than we are from the thermal insulation. But because it's something that we look out on, the partners of the firm, the guys who are writing the checks for this, they say that it's the one thing that they would do again in a second, because it has such an amazing impact on the office and for all the visitors to the office.
In late 2009, Mayor Bloomberg announced a comprehensive plan to green the city's economy, and in December, the Greener Greater Buildings Plan was signed into law. New York's 35 square miles of rooftops are ripe for the triple bottom line of ecological, financial, and social sustainability. Local organizations such as Earth Pledge, Sustainable South Bronx, the Gaia Institute, and others have been early leaders with pilot projects that demonstrate firsthand the many advantages of living roofs. And as important as it is to green our built environments, how about the social component? Green building and beautiful design can be combined with affordable housing and assisting local youth, the disadvantaged and elderly, and those in need of rehabilitation, as you just saw.
You know, the fact is that, as with the overall construction industry, we are going to see more of a shift, and we're going to see this nationwide as well as locally, from new construction to more of it being about smaller scale renovations. But I think the focus on energy, the volatility we've had in energy prices over the last 2 years or so, really has created a permanent shift. People are going to think about energy efficiency when they build and when they renovate. And it's important for the skills and the knowledge to be there. Because, you know, one of the challenges is if we don't have the information available when somebody does the renovation, that renovation is done. And it's not going to be green. And it'll be there for a while. And so I think one of our challenges is to make sure that neither from a government side, nor from a public side, nor from the private investor's side do we lose sight of the long-term economic benefits of building green.
It's been 1.5 years now since Cook+Fox reinstalled their GreenPax modular green roof, and you can see how it's come through with flying colors. It has exceptional plant health and wildlife, from visiting bees, butterflies, sparrows, and even pigeons, all looking for a cool spot to rest from the hot midday sun.
Green roofs are important for a variety of reasons. roofs and things that they're doing on the scale of the city, as well as on the scale of people who are working here and just looking out on it.
I think that the coolest aspect of the Cook+Fox project was that 20 architects created it themselves. We had probably more women helping us than we had men, and this misconception that it's very complicated and that it requires a lot of heavy lifting and that it's very difficult and only a construction company can do it or a landscape company can do it, just was proven to be untrue.
Try to build this industry. It's a virgin industry. It's new. It's growing. I think it can grow exponentially in the next 20 years. So we're on the very front side of that.
My real vision is that we're actually using the roof space in some way, and whether it's generating solar electricity or green roofs that can be recreational and other valuable spaces, or whether it's potentially even food supply. The point is that in a city moving from 8 to 9 million people, we can't let that valuable real estate go to waste.
So where in the green roof world are we going next? We're going to Hotlanta, Georgia to visit some cool downtown roofs, plus see some outstanding living roofs in the burbs too. Stay tuned on Greenroofs.com and Greenroofs TV. I'm Linda Velasquez for Sky Gardens Green Roofs of the World. Happy greening and safe travels.